Hello and welcome to a very special episode, a very special live episode, as these are normally recorded, but I wanted to just go live with this one just to kind of get it out there as quickly as possible. It's a SummerSlam review, kind of. We're going to be doing our top 5 moments from this year's SummerSlam, which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the home of the Minnesota Vikings on August 1st and 2nd. That's right. This is a 2-night SummerSlam. Hopefully the last 2-night SummerSlam. If fingers crossed, if that works out for us, it will be our last 2-night SummerSlam. But we had several matches on this card. This was I think a 12 match card. Yes, 12 matches. Could have been 9. But I want to talk about my top 5 moments. That's right. The top 5 moments from this year's SummerSlam 2026. And these moments will take place over both nights. I'm not going to cover the whole card. I only want to talk about the 5 things that I want to talk about because I want to talk about the positives, not the negatives. That's right. We're going to insinuate the positives, not the negatives here this week on the podcast. So the top 5 things I want to talk about is what we're going to cover. But before we get into the top 5, let's do that YouTube stuff for me. Hit that notification bell so that you know when we're live. If you're not already, subscribe and like this page. Give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up go a long way. You don't know how much that helps the algorithm. I don't believe we're eligible for hot points, but if we are, give us some hot points. Whatever you can do to share us out and help us grow, that is your job to help us out here on the page. So let's get into our top 5. That's right. Top 5. There we go. Moments from this year's SummerSlam. Starting off number 5, and we're going to wait to number 1. We're going to start with the return of Nick Aldis. That's right. Nick Aldis made his return to the ring for the first time in WWE. He has been with the company for several years now as the acting general manager, and he's back as the acting general manager of SmackDown. This is his first match, and it is one that they've been building to for some time between him and Gunther. And I think some people are treating this as a retirement match, but I don't see. Nick Aldis is younger than most of the guys on the roster. Nick Aldis is younger than both champions on the roster right now. So there's no reason that Nick Aldis could not come back and have more WWE matches, especially as well as this last one happened. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Nick Aldis return, but as a Nick Aldis fan from his NWA days, I am very excited that he got the opportunity to finally show what he can do in WWE. This was on a short notice. He found out about this match in Saudi Arabia a few months back, and they said, hey, you're going to go. And then to advertise this, he was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast. I thought he did a great job. Him and Gunther put in a lot of work. This is a match that on Chris Van Vliet's podcast, Nick Aldis said that had come up several times when Gunther was still Walter and on the independents. There was a lot of talk about having Aldis versus Walter for the NWA World's Championship and for the 10 pounds of gold, but it never happened. Gunther went to WWE and then ultimately would become the retirement killer or the career killer after he took out Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles. And a lot of people think, hey, maybe that Nick Aldis is on that list. I don't think they should be calling this a retirement match. It went 11 minutes and 40 seconds with Gunther choking out Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis tapped in a much better fashion, might I say, than John Cena did when he smiled and just tapped. Yeah, that's the way he should have done that, not the way that he did. But that is my number 5 moment. What was so cool about it is WWE did something they don't do. They paid for music. That's right. For Nick Aldis's return to the ring, you got Oasis, Morning Glory as his walkout music, something they asked him, hey, what would you like to do? And he just spit that out there as as like, hey, this will be fucking cool. And they did it. It's pretty cool that in the last couple of years, you got two British wrestlers make their return in Nick Aldis and Nigel McGuinness. Both used Oasis songs in their return match. Yeah, so that is really cool. And it as someone who got to watch Nick Aldis work in Nashville at the fairgrounds, I am very, like I said, I'm very happy for him to get this opportunity. His last televised match took place in 2003, I believe. Let's get that exact number. I know it was July of 2003. July 16th, 2003 against Eric Young on Impact was his go-away match. His last match before this one took place here in my home state of Kentucky at Appalachian Championship Wrestling at the ACW Bluegrass Con in a 5-way match against Caleb Conley, Beastman, Facade, Matt Justice, and Nick Aldis. And that took place in on October 7th, 2023. So from October 7th, 2023 to August of 2026, it was almost 3 years to the day. It's a little under 3 years since he had a match. It was over 3 years since he had a televised match. So Nick Aldis's return turns out to be my number 5 on the list. Number 4, we're going to move up to the main event. That's right. What is on probably some people's number 1 is my number 4. That's how strong Not 2 was. That Roman Reigns defeating Seth Rollins was my number 4 match. This was a love letter to the Shield. It even ended with the fist bump. The story building up to this was not exactly what I wanted, but we did get a great finish, and hopefully one of the last times we're going to get it's over for the Shield storyline. Like, Roman Reigns had the opportunity to use the chair just like Seth did on him when the turn happened years ago, and it didn't. You got the Shield bombs through the table for each guy. They both hit Moxley's moves, the Dirty Deeds, and the Wacky Four. I forgot what it is, but the Wacky something. So both guys represented Moxley in that. So that was their way. They talked a little shit about Moxley afterwards. Roman did. But yeah, number 4, definitely, like I said, comes in at the title match where Roman Reigns retained over Seth Rollins. We all kind of assumed that one was going to happen. I didn't see a title swap there, especially as many title swaps happened on this card. Just on this one night alone, we had 3 title changes just on that one night. And then overall, I think we had 4 title changes. So definitely wasn't shocked to see Roman Reigns retain over Seth Rollins. And that's my number 4 moment of SummerSlam 2026. Moving up to number 3. Number 3 would be my number 2 if it wasn't for one moment. And what is that, you ask? That is Chad Gable becoming the Intercontinental Champion, winning his first solo title in WWE in his hometown of home state of Minnesota. I believe he's from Minneapolis as well. He beat Penta. This is a storyline that's been going on for some time. This started out as a gag where where Chad Gable was going to go out and learn how to defeat Lucha. And his first match in that was against Penta. And since then, Gable become El Grande Americano. He had a decent run, but a funny run. Wasn't really taken serious. Definitely not taken serious as in WWE. He was a heel in WWE, and as El Grande, he turns against all of American Made, starts or against the Alpha Academy, starts American Made, gets hurt, and then he's out for a while. Comes back jacked as fuck as El Grande Americano OG, and would have a feud with El Grande Americano in AAA until that would culminate in a mask versus mask where Gable would lose his mask, and he did the traditional I am Chad Gable. I was born here, and all this stuff, and talks about how much he loved lucha and how much it changed his life, and handed the mask off to El Grande Americano. Fast forward, we get a babyface Gable run to lead us to this moment, and it ultimately ends at SummerSlam with Gable in an amazing match against Penta for the Intercontinental title in 11 minutes and 10 seconds, in which Gable has a huge emotional moment at the end. They kind of went back to the mask versus mask match, and that was a special moment. You know, he did that I am Chad Gable again. This is my hometown. This is my first championship with his family in the ring. Beautiful moment. There wasn't very many dry eyes in the house. And the moment that took this from 2 to 3 for me was WWE felt it was important to have the most random product placement moment of the whole fucking night with a mug root beer dog to show he had the dog in him. It was so fucking stupid. Gable looked like he didn't know what was coming on. He basically did the chugging of the root beer, kind of like Stone Cold would have done with the Coors Light, and it just made no fucking sense. And the whole time I'm like, well, that's a big ass head for on a huge body. There's going to be a turn. He's going to get attacked here to start off a new run on his Intercontinental title run. But that just did not fucking happen. And that one moment kind of ruined it all for me. The fact that mug root beer, one of the horrible root beers, by the way, could ruin such a special moment for Gable after he defeated Penta for the Intercontinental title, ending his conquest to defeat Lucha. It ended with a mug root beer mascot dog just kind of being like, drink mug. And the whole time of that match, there was like they weren't the sponsor of the match. That it just come out of nowhere. And it was like, why in the fuck did this have to happen here? This couldn't have happened on not one or it couldn't have happened on the match before with Danhausen. Like, you could have put all the comedy together, but no, you had to put a bullshit dog mascot in the Chad Gable match. That right there made no sense to me. I don't understand why you thought that was a good idea, and it kind of ruined the moment for me. So that is why Gable winning his first title comes in at number 3 moment from this year's SummerSlam 2026. Moving on to number 2. And this one, like I said, originally when I thought about it, I was torn. Is this number 3? Is this number 2? It's number 2. And on a lot of people's list, this is probably number 1. This opened up Night 2 of SummerSlam, and that is the return of Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens made his return to the ring after 17 months out with a horrific neck injury, which resulted in him having a neck fusion. At some points, he thought he would not even be back in the ring. That's how serious this was. He thought he might be out for good. But instead he was a surprise entrance for the opening match, which originally was supposed to be Finn Balor over Sami Zayn. I mean, it's Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, and they kind of did the twist. The night comes out after Finn and Sammy's in the ring. You have Nick Aldis come out and he's like, as the acting general manager, I have some things I want to do. I'm going to insert someone into this match. And Gunther's music hits. They shake hands. Gunther goes to the ring. And you think, okay, cool. We're getting a 3-way. And then before the match hits, he goes, oh, wait, I didn't say just one person. I'm adding another person. And Kevin Owens' music hits. And he says, this is a fatal 4-way for the number one contendership for the U.S., not U.S., for the undisputed WWE Championship, which is held by CM Punk. Kevin Owens did not look like someone who had just had neck surgery. Kevin Owens did not look like someone who had ever had a neck injury. He comes out right off the top, doing a swanton bomb off the top to the outside. He's throwing his cannonballs. I mean, this was one of the shortest matches of the night, coming in at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. This one could have easily went 10 to 15, not 10 to 15. Probably would have been good at probably about the 13-minute moment. So they could have given like 5 more minutes. Between 3 and 5 more minutes, this might have made it up to number one. I don't think it would have, just because of who my number one is. If you saw the graphic, you know who my number one is at this point. But the Kevin Owens return was bigger than the match itself. And the fact that we got Kevin Owens back on TV, not only back on TV, in a title feud right off the bat, is pretty special. And that is why Kevin Owens making his WWE return after 17 months with a neck fusion is my number 2 moment. And my number 1 moment comes from the women's ladder match for the interim, which should be the main women's championship. That's right. We had a 5-way championship with Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Lash Legend, Tiffany Stratton, and your new what I want to say, I keep wanting to call it the IC. It's not the IC. Your new interim WWE Women's Champion, Chelsea Green. That's right. Chelsea Green won this amazing ladder match. This was a full circle moment, taking us back to Money in the Bank earlier. I guess it was 2 years ago when Tiffany Stratton won. You had in this match the flip side. Chelsea Green has been a babyface as of recent and had been working with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is the current women's U.S. champion. That's why I wanted to throw in all these other titles, because the role in wrestling right now is you have to be a champion to be able to go for another belt. That is just a fucking rule. You're going to lose, but you have to be a lower level champion to go for the main championship. I didn't write the rules. I just hate the rules. But yeah, we got Chelsea Green winning her first ever women's WWE championship. I'm throwing that interim title out the bullshit way, because she's always going to be known as the WWE champion in my eyes. This match was amazing. There was several moments where I was like, is Jade going to win this? Especially when Jade's baddies come out. I don't know if that's still what she's calling them, but when B-Fab and Michin come out to help her, I was like, well, fuck, they're putting this back on Jade. They're going to continue that Jade and Charlotte run. But no, you had a moment where Jade and Charlotte get knocked off the ladders while Chelsea's hanging upside down. You had Lash and Tiffy go through the get knocked out of the ring altogether. It's funny because in the Money in the Bank that Tiffany Stratton won, she threw Chelsea off the ladder. Chelsea went through the tables. And in this one, Chelsea threw Tiffy off the ladder and into the field of competitors. So it was kind of a full circle moment. I did like the fact that everybody's down. Chelsea's hanging upside down. And I'm like, God damn it, Chelsea, get up, Chelsea. And what the fuck does she do? She just kind of lays there. And I'm like, they are seriously going to Michael Hayes this bullshit up and give it to somebody else. But then once everybody fall off the ladder, Chelsea did that kip up, and she looks around, and that look of holy shit, I'm the only one here, and takes off up that ladder, and has the number one moment of this year's SummerSlam when Chelsea Green pulls down that title to become your new women's champion. Now, she is the interim champion. She will ultimately, if she can hold on to the belt that long, go back up against Rhea Ripley whenever Rhea's ready. I don't understand why they didn't just pull the title off Rhea, but hey, they had Liv go 100 days without defending her title and now making a joke out of it. So I'm not sure how long Chelsea will be the champion. I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled a Cardona where Zack Ryder was the guy who wasn't supposed to win the U.S. championship and then loses it the first night back on Raw. We'll see what happens on SmackDown on Friday. So I really hope they don't pull that storyline, but if there's one thing Hunter likes to do is repeat his stories. So that is a possibility. So keep your eyes open for this week's SmackDown. That is my top 5 list. What's your top 5 moments of this year's SummerSlam? Put them down in the comments below. And if you are a fan of what we do, make sure you hit that like button for us on this video. It does help us survive in this huge world of YouTube. It gets us in the algorithm. It helps people find us. So hit that thumbs up for us. If you're not yet subscribed, please do. We are going to be live again in 2 days. That's right. We're going to have the general manager of Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, Lemon Juice Jones, on the channel on Thursday. If you're watching this live, we will be back on Thursday with another live with Appalachian Mountain Wrestling General Manager Lemon Juice Jones. We also will be talking about the Super Bowl of Wrestling, which is headlined by FTR versus the Good Brothers for the AMW Championship. Get those tickets now. They are 25% off. I'll have the link down below to get those as well. But thank you for watching the top 5 moments from the 2026 SummerSlam, which took place once again in the home of the Minnesota Vikings. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Thursday.